Hello and welcome back to One for Paul, the show where I, a non-pop culturist, get inducted into the world of pop culture by my friends, comedians, and nemeses. Joining me today is my nemesis.
Hello there.
Oh, hi.
I'm the curator.
Hi, curator. I know I just knocked. Is Matt there? Is Matt Dempsey there?
I'm afraid Mr. Dempsey is indisposed at the moment.
Oh, could you dispose of him real quick then? Because I need him.
Well, I suppose I could see what I could find.
Excellent. I'll just wait here then. In the dark. In this parlor.
Please do.
With all of this taxidermy around me.
Watch out for Bessie. She bites.
Okay, I will. Which one's Bessie? Hello? Which one's Bessie?
Hello there.
Oh, hi, Matt.
You all right?
I like your roommate. He's good people.
Yeah, you've
Who's
got to
Bessie?
watch out for him. Bessie's his pet spider.
Oh.
She's around here somewhere. She sorts out the flies, but every so often you'll catch her sneaking up on you. I think she has ideas above her station.
The spider does.
Oh, yes.
Got it. So, who are you and what are you doing here?
So I'm Sam Matt73, podcaster of the Stygian Chronicles, which is a horror anthology podcast in the vein of The Twilight Zone or Tales of the Crypt Keeper, available on Anchor, Spotify, iTunes, and all. We have Twitters at Stygian Curators and Patreons at the Stygian Chronicles, and we've had you on the show, haven't we?
Yeah, I think I did a voice for an episode called Ants.
It came out last week and is available now.
Out wherever good podcasts are found.
Much like this, I imagine.
Yeah, that's also what the bit was at the front there with the curator man, who is the voice of the man on your show, man.
Yes, he's a worrying individual, but he does have the finest collection of horror stories on the planet.
It's a pretty good horror series, and I'm not super into horror, so I like it. Probably if you do like horror, you'll be also liking the show. That was a weird way to say that, but that's okay. We'll roll with it. I am so tired, Matt.
Oh, what are you tired?
London has been in lockdown for 3 weeks. I don't know what month it is.
Oh, it's Janutober.
Janutober, February.
The 29th. The
29th of Janufebruary. This joke is going nowhere. What film are we doing this week?
Gremlins 2, the new batch.
That's right. Welcome to Gremlins 2, the story of two competing Gremlins from alternate universes. But that's far too many Gremlins for this universe, and that means they need to fight for some reason.
Civil War.
I mean, if you're literally fighting yourself from an alternate universe, is that a civil war, or is that just internal monologue of some kind?
I think it's nuts.
I think it's a crazy story. But no, actually, Gremlins 2, the sequel to Gremlins, surprisingly enough, which I did watch on a previous one for Paul, and I really liked.
I was going to say, it's one you've actually seen, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's weird. It's weird to actually have seen a movie now, for a change. This is a real change in me. I wonder how long I will continue to be the non-pop culturist, but, maybe.
You've become one of us.
One of us. But yeah, I've seen it before, the first Gremlins. So for anybody listening, I don't think you need to have listened to that episode of the podcast before listening to this one. But, I might make references to my opinions about it. So if you want to go in fresh with my opinions about the first Gremlins, then listen to that one first and then come back and listen to this one. And while you're on transit, maybe just play all of them. Maybe just listen to all of the shows.
I would recommend that.
They're good shows. So going into this, I had seen it. The spoiler alert for the podcast starting now. I'd seen it and I really enjoyed it. And I also watch a ton of Adam Savage's Tested on YouTube, if you're familiar with it.
I'm not, no.
Oh, Adam Savage, previously of the Mythbusters. And he still is a special effects and prop maker. And now he has a YouTube channel called Tested, which is very good. And he's had things like one of the Gremlins from Gremlins into his shop to have a look at and play with. So it's
wow.
it's kind of neat. I'm gonna shout that out, though. Of course, he doesn't need my shout out. Otherwise, I really don't know anything about Gremlins 2. I'd seen Gremlin 1's about it. So, do you have stuff to say at the front?
Well, let me personally speaking, I saw Gremlins 2 as a child before I saw Gremlins.
Okay.
So I think it actually stands on its own. And we'll get into this as we get into the film. There's a little couple of callbacks that I'll make as to why I think this stands on its own. Aside from that, it's just one of those examples of a brilliant escalation from the original film, which already kind of scaled up to this sort of real problematic finale. They scale it up in New York. It's bigger, it's badder, and the way they go about it, I think, is actually genius.
Okay, so you saw this one first, and then later saw Gremlins. Were you still a kid when you saw Gremlins, or was that like way later?
I was like an early teen, I think, by the time I saw Gremlins. It was a good 4 or 5 years after I saw the original. After I saw the Gremlins 2.
And that felt like a bit of a climb down for you.
It was weird, like, initially, yes, because the budgets for these films are incredibly different. Gremlins, the first one, had a budget of 11 million, and they did the best they could with what they had, and I think did an actually extremely good job. The budget on Gremlins 2 was 50 million, and it was 6 years later from having made that film, so the technology had come across, like, had gotten better. It just had more going for it in terms of the effects, Gremlins 2.
Yeah. Yeah, so if there's nothing else at the front, let's well, first I really do enjoy these the classic Warner Brothers intro sequences where Bugs Bunny and Daffy Duck mess with each other for a while.
Oh yeah.
The version that I saw had this at the front.
Yes, the director Joe Dante, it's actually something he does. He puts cartoon stuff in everything he does. It's his little auteur stamp.
Okay.
So getting to work with Warner Brothers on this, with Amblin Entertainment, Steven Spielberg, like, he took the opportunity of a lifetime and went for it.
So, like, you've got the Warner Brothers backing, you may as well use Bugs Bunny.
Oh, may as well. And we'll get into it. I'll pop out examples of every time he's used this potential in the film.
Oh, man, I feel like I've got exactly the right person on the show then. Perfect. So fade in to the grainiest footage of 1990 New York imaginable, though also some of these helicopter shots would have needed like an actual helicopter, because this is pre-drone, and this is legitimately very impressive.
Yes, it is. And do you know what? It was not shot for this film.
No, I imagine not. I imagine it's B-reel.
It was shot for Superman 4. The Quest for Peace is why it was originally recorded.
Really?
It's stock from that, and arguably the only good thing to come out of that film.
I have not seen that, fascinatingly enough.
Oh, if you have you seen many of the Superman films?
I have seen Superman Returns for the show.
But none of the Reeves ones.
Reeves?
Christopher Reeves.
I don't know who that is.
Christopher Reeves famously played Superman in the 80s films. If you haven't seen those, that's something that we should do another time.
Okay, well, we'll add it to the list. It is also kind of weird to see the Twin Towers on the skyline, to be honest, which is, this is fully 1990, so of course you're going to see the Twin Towers on the skyline. It is weird to have them on the skyline and not be the central focus, is what I'm noticing from current year advantage.
Yeah. It's an interesting little piece of history.
It
Obviously,
is good. It was just like, that's part of the skyline, and also they were considered the ugliest buildings in New York for a long time, and people just started going, all right, that's fine. It's part of the skyline now.
Indeed.
Pan down to Chinatown, where there's a visibly out-of-place limo that arrives at the shop amid some extensive construction.
Just before we get into that, there's a little thing that I want to pull up on the credits as they're coming down.
Oh, yeah.
It's the only time that you'll see Christopher Lee be titled under Robert Picardo, who famously played the Doctor in Voyager.
Yeah, so the Doctor from Star Trek Voyager steps out of the car, followed by two henchmen, one of whom is carrying a TV and VCR. It is weird seeing
90s
actors that I know so well from other stuff in this, because I am going to turn into one of those people who watches a show and goes like, I have seen that actor in other things that actor has worked in. Funny how we don't do that for other professions. I have seen that plumber in my house as well as in your house.
Weirdly, we went, the missus and I went for a little journey, and we saw our plumber out in the wild being a person. And we just went, oh my God, he's a human.
Oh my God. His existence isn't context sensitive.
You mean there's more to life than just my house?
Inside, the old man from the first film is playing chess, I guess, against himself, or maybe he's solving one of those newspaper chess puzzles from the old newspapers, while Gizmo the Mogwai sings gently in his cage.
Yes, I've got the actor that plays that plays the store owner, Kaya Luke. He was Master Po in Kung Fu with David Carradine, and he actually starred in a couple of episodes of Star Trek. He was in the original series When Gods Destroy as Governor Corey, and he was actually flagged to play Noonien Sung in The Next Generation instead of Brent Spiner, but he was too sick to take the part.
Oh, no. That would have been really cool. I don't know the original series at all. I think I've seen one episode and went, this is dumb. Where's Picard?
It's very 60s. That just has to be understood.
Well, we're not doing that. We got enough movie to get through. We're going to take so many tangents. Oh, my God. So...
Yeah.
I will, at this point, recall my note from the first Gremlins that the word in Cantonese "mugwai" literally means devil.
Devil or monster, yes.
Monster,
it doesn't have
demon, fiend. When they translate the Bible into Chinese characters, they write the word devil as this. So, it's that. So anytime we're watching the cute little thing, let's remember that he is secretly a demon.
Oh, very much so.
These men enter the shop where they set up the TV and they play a video of a pre-recorded message from the CEO of Clamp Industries, who is going to pitch him an offer to buy the shop, which Mr. Wing owns.
Yes, John Glover, the actor, such a legend.
I didn't recognize him for anything, but he's probably been in stuff.
Oh, he was in RoboCop 2, which actually was released the same year as Gremlins 2.
Busy guy.
And he also played a mad scientist in Batman and Robin.
I've seen Batman and Robin. Why have I seen Batman? Is that the one with the nipples? With the bat nipples?
With bat nipples, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Uma Thurman, he's the scientist that is mucking around with Uma Thurman before she gets turned into Poison Ivy.
Got it. So Mr. Clamp of Clamp Industries, I guess, or Clamp Co., Clamp Incorporated, Clamp PLC, whatever the heck it is, he wants to create the Clamp Chinatown Center where business gets oriented.
I know. One thing that has to be accepted straight out of the gate is that there are just... It was a different time.
It was 1990. Fortunately, a visibly unimpressed Mr. Wing declines the offer. He rolls his eyes big.
Oh, it's just like, no. Like, you can come to me 1,000 times, I'm still going to say no.
Like, why would I sell my shop? I like my shop. Go away. He notes, as they leave, the doctor, I guess, whatever his name, we don't know his name yet, so he's the doctor for a while, Emergency Medical Hologram Mark 1, and he doesn't like the sound of that cough, and reckons that the old man is likely to die soon.
Robert Picardo just eats up the scenery as this character. He is just the meanest that he can possibly be throughout, and it is brilliant.
Also, Gizmo figures out a way to watch Rambo on this TV, which ostensibly is not connected to anything but the VCR.
You'd think. I mean, we didn't see them not plug in an antenna, I suppose.
I guess. Note, I have not seen Rambo. I assume it's an 80s movie about how awesome war is and how right America is all the time and how blue jeans and branded cola are the same thing as democracy.
Yeah, totally that. And not a deconstruction of those self-same values.
Got it. Is it not? I literally haven't seen it. I've seen, look, it's Rambo. He's got the headband and he blows people up. Yay, America.
Yeah, again,
Are we
you
adding
should definitely watch that film. Definitely add that to the list.
Every time I watch a movie, we add 16 things to the list. It keeps getting longer. I will never catch up with the list. Damn it.
I mean, good, because that means you'll never run out of podcasts.
I guess. Oh, God, I'm doomed, aren't I? Cut to 6 weeks later at the Clamp building. where the world's most fully automated office building, the Clamp Premier Regency Trade Center and Retail Concourse headquarters of Clamp Enterprises and home of CCN Clamp Cable News. That's an exact quote. God, I hate everything about the corporate bullshit, and it's also brilliant.
The script writing is intense, but I see you've been on the tour.
Yes, I have. It's what I do on Saturdays. It's where I met my wife. On the news today, turns out that this old man's death and the destruction of everything he worked to create is the cause for celebration because Clamp gets to build a building.
Yep.
I recall he had a grandson in the first film. I guess he didn't stand to inherit the business or the building or any of the objects in the shop even, because here comes the bulldozers to destroy everything, including Gizmo, who is very sad that Mr. Wing is gone. And where's the little band for it, I guess? Yeah,
the black armband is such a nice touch from the props department. Mm-hmm. And obviously we start hearing Gizmo talk with that little cute, "Hello there, Gizmo." Kind of
is that
voice.
Talking? Because he sort of said sounds in the first one.
Yes, he actually does say kind of just small little words, and I'll bring up a few points of it. Guess who did the voice for him?
There's one place that I noted a couple of things where I'm like, no, that can't possibly be what he said, but it sounds a lot like what he said. And we'll get to that. He manages to escape the destruction of his home, but is quickly found by a man who grabs him. Cut to Times Square, which looks just so awful. I forgot how awful it looked before they pedestrianized it, and man, it's better now.
Oh, yes.
It's like way better now. You could be in Times Square and not feel like it's a place for cars to go through.
Yeah, it did not feel like you could be hit by a taxi at any time.
Yep. But look, it's Billy and Kate from the first movie. You remember them.
Oh, lead roles.
Yeah.
Played by the incomparable Zach Callaghan.
He's very good.
And Phoebe Oates.
And she's so cute.
Sorry, Phoebe
I
Cates.
have such a crush on her. It's like,
Phoebe
it's
Cates,
bad.
Yeah.
It is bad.
She did Drop Dead Fred with Rick Mayall.
I haven't seen it or heard of it.
It was one of the few times that Rick Mayall can be seen being a lead in a Hollywood film.
I don't know who that is.
Rick Mayall was in the comedy series Bottom for a great many years. He was in Blackadder and Blackadder II as Lord Flashheart.
Oh, him. Okay, yeah, I've seen Blackadder. All right. So, look, it's Billy and Kate, and they got jobs in New York, I guess. And also, they mentioned that Mr. Futterman is coming to visit soon. You remember the Futtermans.
Well, this is the thing. Going back to saying how this film can stand on its own, they do make a point of seamlessly integrating the facts that you need to get through. So in this scene, they do the comparison saying like, oh, well, the Gremlins did knock through his store. They did nearly kill him. So
yeah,
if you haven't seen the first one, you now go, all right, okay, I get it.
I had assumed that he was dead in the first one, not gonna lie. I was like, wait, he's alive? They ran him over with a bulldozer. Right?
It's going to take more than that to kill Mr. Futterman.
I guess it's that shitty American plow he was driving. Can't trust American bullshit. So, hey, look at the product placement here. It's Popular Hamburger Place, right next to a place called Antique Jewelers and Arcade. It's always, I like noticing this stuff, right? Because it used to be really like, look at our brand!
There's so many details and there's so much product placement.
It's they earned their budget for their corporate overlords for sure. On their way, we're informed that they intend to get married, but they can't afford to do that until they get better jobs.
Because New York.
Girl, same. A man pushes past them into the Clamp entry-matic revolving door, which promptly accelerates, flinging him out the other end, resulting in probably at least a couple lawsuits.
Yeah, I love the fact that they make a whole deal about it being like the most leading technological wonder, but nothing quite works right. It's just sets a nice little tone for the film.
Mm-hmm. It's also a nice callback to the tone of the first one, where every one of the new inventions of the inventor dad was like, look at this thing that's slightly worse than what you're doing already.
Yeah, exactly.
It's new, though, so you'll buy it. Also, set design detail. All of the plants are spray-painted metal, like steel-colored, which is just so corporate oppression. I love it.
Oh, I mean, this is the thing that the set department just had an absolute field day with this. The director, who was asked, because the first one was made in 1984, the second one was made in 1990. The studio wanted him to make the second one because, as I said earlier, it had an $11 million budget and it grossed $212 million. So they were really on it for getting, a sequel out as soon as possible.
Hi, director. Listen, we'd love you to do another ROI for us. I mean, Gremlins.
But he refused. He said he didn't want to do it. In the end, they finally got him, and he said, "Fine, I'll do it, but you have to give me complete creative control." Which, as you know, like getting that from a top studio, virtually
that doesn't
unheard
happen
of
anymore. It used to happen. It used to happen a lot, and it now doesn't happen a lot anymore.
It just goes to show, if you give someone with a vision complete creative control, they can create these awesome things. Compare that to like Zack Snyder and the current Justice League stuff. Like,
I haven't really seen any of that, which is telling because it hasn't grabbed me at all. Because I'm like, well, I mean, it's like a slightly worse Marvel, which sucks because there's some characters in DC.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. But again, we're getting sidetracked.
Oh my god, that was such a sidetrack. I'm glad I'm splitting these up into multiple episodes now. Kate continues to be unreasonably cute and sweet as she sees Billy to the elevators. Upstairs at the office, there's a model of an office in the office. Yo, dog. We also get to meet Billy's chain-smoking boss, Marla, who has the most New Jersey accent I have ever heard. Like, I thought it was a fake accent at first, and I was like, no, she's probably British putting that on or something. No, she's from New Jersey.
Yeah, that's Marla Bloodstone, played by Haviland Morris, who was seen in 16 Candles.
Could it be any more on the nose?
Do you know what I mean? Like, they are going for it. There's no subtlety in this.
Her hobbies include disrespecting her subordinates and making them feel uncomfortable.
Just complete control freak, and she plays it so well.
Yup. Yeah, I found it a little bit stage play. I'm starting to be able to tell who the stage actors are because they sort of open their mouths rather wide.
Yes, for the projection. It's just
for the projection from stage, but it's such a habit for them that even when they're screen acting, it's sort of like, hello.
Well, at least you know what they're saying.
I guess we do. Billy seems to be in violation of employee manual code due to his potted plant and drawing of his hometown.
Kingston Falls. Lest we forget.
Billy seems to be, he's in violation. For sure. I mean, you can't have a potted plant. So says Emergency Medical Hologram Mark 1, Forster, that's his name now, and we should probably keep using that, using his device, which is a whole lot less efficient than just actually a name tag.
The thing is, Robert Picardo's saying, does this so well, he makes himself immediately hateful by going like, you call this art of King's Falls your hometown, we pay artists $200 million.
Forster is not a fan of this drawing.
Not a fan of anything.
He doesn't seem like a man who enjoys.
Ironically Borg-like. He likes the uniformity. He likes the everything the same.
Yeah, I suppose so, he is not a fan. I think the exact thing is we have spent a lot of money by recognized artists, color coordinated, not like your art, which is folksy and weird and lovely. Wouldn't you like it to live in a $200 million flea market? And then I thought to myself as an audience member, do you have any idea how awesome it would look if you gave a flea market $200 million?
I know, right?
I want to visit a $200 million flea market, sir. Thank you.
Well, Camden Market in London got like a really big overhaul, and you can see the difference. Like, it is
That's true. Yeah. For a while there, while the original guys were still available to trade in the market, it was really good. And then, Camden happened.
Yeah.
I like Camden. I love Camden. I work in Camden. I used to, at least, before Gestures Broadly 2020. So let me give you a quick clamp management lesson 1 school lesson. Always belittle your subordinates. Otherwise, they might start to think that they have inherent worth as human beings. We can't be having that. Cut to the security control room where Mr. Forster and his team is hard at work firing a guy for smoking in the warehouse. I know this actor who's the random dude in the warehouse. Why do I know him?
That's Henry Gabin. He was in Blues Brothers.
That's him. Was he one of the cops? Or he was the Nazi. He was the Illinois Nazi.
He was the Nazi, yeah.
God damn, of course he was. I love his face so much.
So expressive. I mean, he's in it for like 10 seconds, really. But you get all of the expressions on his face of exactly how he feels. He's only going for a smoke break.
It's so good. Cut to Kate being a tour guide for the building. I guess that's her job. And she's here to tell everyone that the TV station is right here in the building, which is handy since they won't need to build any more sets.
So many levels to the building, and everything's here.
Yeah, everything's here, including some weird stuff later. Like, why is this here? I know that's not here in real life, but I guess this isn't real life. This is a movie. So cut to a man dressed as a vampire doing an intro to late night TV. Now, you see, if you had told me that this exact thing was on Adult Swim, I would have said, yeah, probably.
Well, funny enough, I have a story about that.
Oh my god, was it actually on Adult Swim? Because yes.
The actor was Al Lewis, who played Grandpa Munster from The Munsters.
Oh my god.
The original. And
okay.
But after The Munsters, he hosted a show called Super Scary Saturday as Grandpa Munster. So what he's doing in this film, he genuinely really did.
Oh, that's so good. But you see, his show has been moved to a time slot at 3 a.m. And, the only people up at 3 in the morning are, they're not worried about getting scared. They're worried about where their next bottle of alcohol is coming from. Or getting
looking
a
for
job.
work. Yeah.
Yeah. Or, maybe they were just up at night wondering about the existential problems of life, and they were like, what the fuck is...
No, this is the 90s. The only people who are up at 3 a.m. were alcoholics and jobless people.
That's right, because at that point, you could just get a job. I remember now. So
back in the day.
So back upstairs, there's rapid cuts, I will say, in this movie. A lot of these shots that we've mentioned so far are like 30 seconds long to maybe a minute long. It's quite a frenetic pace. For a bit.
There's a lot to fit in, and there's a lot to set up. This is one of the things that, as I said earlier about scaling up, this film scales up the first one. But in order to do that, it needs to set all these set pieces up. You need to be aware of where things are, what's there, because it's all going to be used. So you get all of these we're in the first, 10 minutes of the film, I think? 15 maybe?
Well, I can tell you that I'm on page 3 of my notes, and there are 15 pages of notes.
Yeah, so, we're in the
we're in the first fifth, buddy. So back upstairs as they continue their conversation. Turns out there's a genetic research lab upstairs. That's to say, Fred, the vampire TV man, and Billy, who is walking up with them. Fred, the TV vampire, isn't fond of scientific research.
No, he is not.
Yeah,
but it's all about genetics. The splice of life.
God damn it, I love it. The genetic research lab is called Splice of Life, and we hear Gizmo whistling as delivery arrives for Saruman the White. Dr. Catheter.
Yes, Dr. Catheter. And who else would you get to run a real life horror show than the king of horror himself? So Christopher Lee comes walking through.
I have never seen Christopher Lee in anything other than Lord of the Rings. So to me, he is not the master of horror. He is Saruman the White.
Totally understand. I met him once,
Oh, really?
Yes. My mum used to work in film. Funny enough, she did post-production sound. Who'd have thunk?
Oh,
she used to do work down at Anvil Studios, which is based in Denham, and is the studio...
What was that next where they did Hammer Horror?
Exactly, that's where the Anvil stuff was.
No,
so
yeah,
that's where
I know how
people
made. Name things in our industry.
Yeah. So but one of the things that Christopher Lee used to do is he used to come back to Anvil and just sort of have a look around and get to know people. He was a really friendly guy. Mm-hmm. My mum worked there, so he would sort of pop in and say hello and have a little conversation and flit off.
He would come in and say, hello.
Well, what he used to do was go, hello, Sue, as that was her name. He was just a booming, lovely man. But so eventually my mum worked on a film with him in it called A Feast at Midnight, which was a really short, lovely little independent British-made film where he played the headmaster called Raptor. So as she worked on it, we got to go and see it as a premiere in the Curzon, I believe. And
nice.
there we are, just walking around. And all of a sudden, this, there's a couple of members of EastEnders over here. There's some B-movie television stars over there. And then all of a sudden, this booming voice just comes out. "Hello, Sue." And in walks Christopher Lee. Yeah, and my mum literally went, "Oh God, no!"
Really?
And all of a sudden, it comes through this figure of Christopher Lee, and I at this point was watching Hammer Horror when I shouldn't have been. So
sure.
All of a sudden, I've just got Dracula in front of me, and I am just in absolute awe. And he looks down and he goes, "And you must be Matthew," because of the conversation. So Christopher Lee not only met me, but he knew my name.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and he just sort of went, "It's very nice to meet you. Goodbye, Sue," and disappeared off into the into the crowd.
Wow, I think that's the part that when you've worked, like you've now probably worked with a couple of famous people or borderline famous people. They're just people doing jobs.
Yeah,
and they
exactly.
can say hello. You can say hello. Just don't bother them, right?
Yeah, just don't treat them like
people. They're doing a job. They just happen to have a job that is super in the public eye. So, there's your PSA for the day. Don't annoy people because you've seen them on TV. That is not the relationship you have.
Exactly.
Seems that the people at the lab have captured Gizmo, and they've made several key discoveries about Gizmo. First, that he's allergic to light, and second, he enjoys rock and roll.
Of course he does. The Mogwai has taste.
Yeah, as do the twins, or clones. Not sure which.
I'm trying to think. I think I've seen them in something else as well. They've done this before.
Oh, yeah.
I can't think of it right now.
Yeah, we're in the lab. We get a quick glance through where they got like a helmet on a cow, and the cow says, "I wish to be milked. I enjoy being milked. Thank you."
That creature was originally going to be half hamster, half cow. It got refused.
Oh. So there's a bunch of monkeys in cages, and these identical clone or twin, not sure which. Gizmo attempts to escape, but is thwarted by Christopher Lee. I mean, Dr. Catheter.
What a name.
They called him Dr. Mr. and Mrs. Catheter. Oh, God. All right.
It's Dr. and Mrs. Catheter.
Oh. It's Dr. and Mr. Catheter. Thank you. I think it's Dr. and Dr. Catheter. Every one of us is a doctor.
We're all doctors. It's just mandatory.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. You kind of have to be with that name. It's the law. Dr. Catheter seems to enjoy being cruel to his research specimens, which is super not on, but, mostly because we like Gizmo.
Do you know who voiced Gizmo?
Howie Mandel, like the first one?
That is Howie Mandel, yeah.
Yeah. Back upstairs at Billy's desk, and he's on a really patchy video call with Kate. Now, if you ever want to make something look janky as hell, mount it on a spring, because then when you hit it, it goes boing a little bit, and you go, it's janky as hell.
I love the fact that people get all, antsy about Zoom calls these days, and you're like, oh, it's so rubbish. Let's take it back to the 90s, where you had, at most, a 4-inch screen, and it wouldn't work if they were next to each other.
Let's take it back to the 90s where at least phone calls had full duplex. All right, I don't recall ever having to hang up and dial again in order to be able to not have a 6-second stream delay. So, listen, in a way we've gone backwards. Just saying. Billy then hears Gizmo's whistling from a delivery guy, and he discovers that Gizmo's in a predicament.
Yeah, again, going back to the seamlessness of it, you have all these elements in New York City, which is a massive city, heavily populated, and you've got these characters, and you're trying to seamlessly interweave them meeting up and getting together. And obviously, Billy hasn't been back to the store in whatever, it's now been destroyed. So you've got Gizmo in the lab, whistling his tune.
Yeah.
The delivery boy comes in to deliver stuff to Spice of Life for Christopher Lee, hears the tune, then walks to another level of the building, and he's humming the tune, which then means Billy knows that Gizmo is there. Just a seamless way of interweaving these characters and elements together at a breakneck pace, and yet still making it seem natural.
Suppose so. Naturally, Billy decides to break into the lab and rescue his pal, the Mogwai. All right. So seems like the twins have found a way to cause rats to output silly amounts of electricity.
It's just a shame you can't hold them.
Yeah, maybe put them in a flashlight, though. So they're kind of distracted by this potential new energy source and don't notice Billy, who successfully makes off with Gizmo and opens one of the monkey cages on his way out.
For no reason. Like, they hadn't noticed him. They had no reason to turn. He just opened it to be an asshole.
I get, like, yeah, let's just mess with your specimens. We were about to cure a disease with those fucking things. Fuck you. That would have cured polio. Again. Cut to the bathroom, where Friendly Voice instructs their employees in the proper use of the bathroom.
Oh, there's so many of these like nice little touches of the voice acting, and I'm sure you're going to bring up other examples of just where they have the automated voice system, and it's just inappropriate.
So bad. It's just so bad and inappropriate at all times. But again, it's one of these things where I could totally see some manager somewhere in one of these, brainstorming meetings going, so what if we just like had a message that we sense somebody comes into the bathroom with a little sensor, and then after 3.5 minutes we say, are you really still at the bathroom? Because okay, but hurry it up, buddy.
You better have washed your hands.
And if the water doesn't turn on, then we can say, wash your hands or the door is not going to unlock. Like, that's a thing that some manager has proposed at some point before the rest of the managers went, that's fucking dumb, Jim. Shut up. No, we're not.
No one likes you,
that.
Jim.
Turning down the lights, Billy is reunited with Gizmo. Good thing no one else needed the bathroom for several minutes in a busy office building.
But there's so many floors.
I guess.
So many toilets. I'm with you, though. Like, it's just for the convenience.
It's just because that's the set they hadn't used yet. Back at Billy's desk, and Gizmo is stored in the drawer because, naturally, nobody ever passes by the cubicle in the busy open-plan office.
No, and I love the fact that, Gizmo's an intelligent creature, and as we've seen from the first film, he is the black sheep of the family in that he's actually a really, decent kind of character, doesn't want to cause any trouble. So why does Gizmo start sabotaging Billy immediately by opening the drawer?
That's right. Just then, a bunch of people start announcing that the CEO is in the building, and he's very impressed by Billy's drawing of this skyscraper with the comedy-sized pagoda roofs on them.
Yeah, I've got a nice story about John Glover here. The character of Clamp originally was supposed to be like Trump. Like,
really?
That's how it was written. Like the
so
conglomerates destroy everything.
And clamp this and clamp that, and he names everything Clamp.
That's how it was originally written. John Glover was sick and tired of being given villain parts at the time.
Oh,
so
I see.
Instead, he just switched it around and went, no, actually, he's just a nice guy, that it's just all gotten away from him.
I like that a lot, actually.
It made the film so much better, I think.
I agree. We're going to get more into him later, because he's only just appeared, and only for a minute, to be like, to effectively cause Marla, who was previously, she was not impressed with her employee, and, Marla now, having had the CEO praise her guy and her department because of this guy, is like, well, clearly Billy is my ticket to the top.
And she will do anything.
Sure. Also, why does that drawer keep opening?
What drawer? What? Oh, that's automatic.
Automatic? What do you mean automatic?
It's just every so often, in case you need something, it'll open for you. Totally, that's what it is, and not an animal.
You see, here's the thing. Good CEO trusts his employees implicitly and sees no reason to distrust Bill here, whose work he really enjoys.
Yeah,
He's like, I've never heard of that. All right.
It's just a sense of wonder in the character. Like, constantly, he literally says, like, I didn't know about that. And he just is impressed and walks away.
But that's it. I mean, it's also, why would you be skeptical of this person? Like, why would you assume they're going to lie to you on first meeting? Good CEO is good. Good management is good. I'm going to believe you until you give me cause to not believe you.
Yep. If only real CEOs did that.
Some do. Some do. Seeing Billy's newfound success, Marla decides that she's suddenly really into him. A visibly uncomfortable Billy accepts her offer to go to supper, provided she stop asking about what's in the drawer. Yikes.
There's nothing in that drawer.
This starts some yikes.
Oh, yeah.
See, she knows this great new place. It's a Canadian restaurant, and they clean the fish right at the table. So, new plan, ask Gizmo to stay put. This part of the plan immediately fails, as Gizmo has a different plan, I guess, and he exits the drawer into the brightly lit office.
Not too brightly, apparently.
Yeah, isn't that one of the Mogwai things?
Yeah, they can take light, they just can't take bright light. So, you remember in this scene, is it in this scene or is it a little bit later?
For a while, I guess if nothing moves for a while, the lights turn off. That was the thing during the phone call.
Yes.
But now something's moving, so I don't know.
Exactly. It's too small. Too small.
No time for details. Billy rushes down to see Kate in the women's locker room, I guess, because he needs her to go upstairs and pick up Gizmo.
Well, you can't just leave him in there. Like, he needs to be taken care of before he gets wet.
There's a lady just in a towel behind them at some point. Like, he's legitimately in the women's locker room. I guess nobody minds? Or no one sees him?
90s extreme.
Anyway, I guess. So, see, this...
This is a family picture.
Mm-hmm. Billy just doesn't understand the situation, and he's like, right, she just wants a meeting. All right, fucking go to a meeting with the boss.
Small town thinking. Didn't realize she was being predatory.
I guess. Instead, Billy decides not to communicate, and instead just asks Katie to go upstairs and bring Gizmo back to their apartment. She is amused and says no.
Yeah, she's not suffering from PTSD from the first film at all.
She might be a little bit. She might be a little bit.
Just a little bit?
Given that the last time those things were around, they nearly killed her several times.
And destroyed the town.
And also that, she agrees when it becomes clear that it means a lot to her fiancé, I guess. It doesn't take that much convincing. I guess she's like, Billy, all right, fine, I'll do it for you.
He's like, no, change your mind. Okay.
It really is. It's very... I watched it the second time, and I'm like, that was actually very quick turnaround. No, we're not doing that. Okay, Katie, I hear what you're saying, but I'm a man, and I'm saying yes. So could you also say yes? Okay, Billy, yes. Much against my prior judgment and PTSD from the last time. Fine.
I know, right?
It's very... I don't know, man. I also get, though, that Act 1 is taking a long time. So at a certain point, it's just like, could we just have her reluctantly first and be like, okay, fine.
We just need to get this train moving, please, people.
Keep going, fellas. Just keep it going. It's already a while in. Also, good time to remind ourselves what the rules are.
I mean, this is, again, what I was saying about making sure that you didn't have to watch the first one. They reiterate the rules. Nice and quick and simple. No
light. Sunlight kills them. Don't get them wet. That makes them have babies. And don't feed them after midnight. That turns them into, like, ultra demons.
Supreme archdemons.
Mm-hmm. She runs after Billy, saying, like, oh, just one more thing, in need of clarification, I guess. And she sees him walking away with Marla, who grabs him by the arm in a sort of affectionate way.
That's not suspicious at all.
It's not predatory at all. Cut to upstairs as the janitor discovers that the water fountain is faulty, and he attempts to fix it, but he fails to fix it and ends up spraying water everywhere instead, including onto Gizmo.
Now, here's something that I'd like to bring up.
Okay.
Talking earlier about Gizmo's voice and him saying words, if you listen to him as the janitor is coming around the corner, he says Gomez.
Does he?
That is the reason why is because the actor who plays the janitor is John Astin, who played the original Gomez in the Addams Family.
From the Addams Family?
Yes.
I don't think I've seen the original. I think I saw the cartoon as a kid.
Yeah, the original 1960s, like, black and white television series. It's a television series, so I don't know if you can do that, but I would certainly recommend it.
It's my show. I can do whatever I want. Yes, list. Got it.
Then yes, add it to the list.
Yeah, so looks like Gizmo is about to birth a bunch more Mogwai. I'm trying to pronounce that right. It's a thing in a language that I don't speak, so that's okay. All of these ones definitely don't like him very much. His kids keep hating him. I feel real sorry for him.
Gremlins are evil straight out the gate. Gomez
Are
is the
they,
exception.
or is it just the gremlins that come out of this guy?
Well, you got to wonder, right? Poor old Gizmo.
Because Gizmo's all right.
But he's had such a rough time.
And these one, I do like the one with the crazy eyes as well. Gizmo
That's
and
Daffy.
The crazy eyes one. Daffy?
Okay,
I don't think they mentioned the name ever.
They don't ever, but they do have names. The one with the mohawk is called Mohawk.
And I'm sure those names are all over the toys.
Oh, probably, yeah.
Have I ever talked to you about merchandising?
I gather it's a way that you can make money.
And money can buy items.
And such the cycle repeats.
Yep, so they take Gizmo's armband from him and then force him into the air duct. As Katie gets upstairs, the three evil Mogwai go downstairs. She discovers the googly-eyed one. What was his name again?
Daffy. As in Daffy Duck.
Yeah, okay. The well-known guy who can't control which direction his eyes go in, Daffy Duck. Got it. That's the main thing that I remember about that duck.
What, that his eyes don't move in the same direction?
I
guess. Do they? No way.
So she doesn't quite remember which one it is, so she grabs Daffy and takes him home. Back downstairs.
What a lovely reference to King Kong. Daffy is on top of a giant on top of a model of Clamp Towers with some biplanes flying around it as a King Kong reference.
I didn't get that at first. That's why I have you. Back downstairs, the Mogwai are in the food court looking for a meal. I sure hope it isn't after midnight.
I think it might be getting close. Out of interest, in this scene, because it's supposed to be like a frozen yogurt or an ice cream store, right? There's an appearance from a very young Sean Astin.
That doesn't actually happen just yet.
Oh, sorry.
No. First, we need to go to the restaurant.
Yes, as a Canadian, what do you think of the Canadian restaurant?
I think it's weird that their waiters are dressed as police officers.
I know, right? It's
Mounties
just a class.
Mounties are a real thing. They're the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and they're a real police force, and that the red outfit with the hat is their dress uniform, and it used to just be like they get the red, like it was a callback to the British wool uniforms, and they were real warm, and in Canadian winter, that's what you needed. And they're still a police force. My cousin is an RCMP officer.
Really?
Yeah, really. Yeah, he's got the uniform. I got pictures of him in the uniform. It's really awesome. So, I mean, like, a waiter in that uniform seems strange to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, how can we say it
in a way?
It's totally disrespectful. It's stereotyping. How can we show that this place is Canadian straight out the gate? It's just like, we'll have them dressed as a Mountie. We'll have a really awkwardly placed, like, stuffed animal in between them. We'll put them in third-lined chairs.
Well,
we'll
really
serve chocolate mousse.
The rest of it, I'm okay. Like, the rest of it is kind of funny and like, all right, yeah, fair enough. That's a good takedown. But it's just like, it would be like if you had a British style restaurant somewhere that served, I don't know, fish and chips or something like that somewhere other than Great Britain, and all of the waiters are dressed in like military dress uniform. Well, military dress uniform, like red coat with the thing or whatever. Like that would be the extent of it. I don't know. I don't know if there's I felt a little like, okay, that's weird. I don't think I felt disrespected in any way. I was just like, yeah, Americans think being Canadian
That's what they think
funny,
Canadians look like, yeah.
I will. So anyway, so both of them seem to have like a lot of drinks each, right? They have some sort of log mug, which I will say looks dope as hell. And also a pink brand cola and popular brand Canadian beer brand. So like each of them has like 3 drinks each, and I'm like, who does that? I'll tell you exactly who does that at restaurants is people who review restaurants. That's how you spot them.
Yes, because they have to clean their palate and they want to check the wines, and they don't really have much
but also
of anything.
They'll always, evidently, I learned this from somebody who worked in restaurants. You're like, if anybody comes in and buys a non-alcoholic drink, an alcoholic drink, a starter, a plate of food, and a dessert all at once, that is a restaurant reviewer. It's like, okay. So both of them have all these drinks, and you're right, there's just this taxidermied ibex, I guess, mounted on the wall. That's not even really a Canadian animal.
No, it's just there.
We've got mountain goats in Canada, but they don't look like that. Marla interrupts she interrupts every topic of conversation to talk about her stuff. And,
narcissist much?
I think so. Like, I do that by accident sometimes, but, like, not because I'm a narcissist, because I have ADHD. And I'm looking at it like, well, I have a thought, and I'd like to share it now. And if I don't right now, then I will forget.
Yeah, that's fair enough. Mara, on the other hand,
Marla, I don't think
noticed that. Predatory.
Yeah, I think she's just awful. She feels like he's her ticket to a corner office, and she says so. Like, I think we're going to make a lot of money. And I feel so vulnerable about you. I've never talked about these feelings before. Greed is a feeling, right?
Last I checked.
Yeah, then she touches her employee inappropriately under the table, which makes me really not feel like laughing at the admittedly excellent sight gag of the chocolate mousse. Like, it would have been a good gag, but I was so uncomfortable with this. I was just like, oh no, that's gross.
I know, yeah.
The rest of the scene is funny, right? But it's like, don't do that. Like, he's visibly uncomfortable and you're just not understanding this. Not understanding the message at all. Marla forces a kiss on him as he leaves. He's visibly upset, horrified that his boss has just tried to molest him.
Yeah.
So yeah, they have a statue of a moose that, like, it's a chocolate mousse. May I get you an antler, sir? And I love this actor. And yeah, I could buy that as a Canadian accent. That's fine. People in Canada sound like that sometimes. And it would have been really funny had it not been for the super, like, oh no.
For the creepiness, yeah.
It's, makes me feel gross. Back at their apartment, Katie is trying to feed the not Gizmo demon Mogwai, who instead smashes her blender on the floor, then laughs hysterically about it. Also, he throws food at her.
Yeah, it's just, we've hit the slapstick portion, because of course they're light and fluffy at the moment, so all of the hijinks have to be pratfalls and pranks and something cartoonish. This then lends weight to when they turn into the more evil things later down the line.
Mm-hmm. Cut to Billy arriving home with Marlo's lipstick still on his face, to Katie's distress. Billy discovers that this is not Gizmo, and they decide to go back to the office and take the googly-eyed one with them, because otherwise he could do who knows what. Actually, pretty good decision. Don't leave him in the apartment. He's just going to wreck stuff.
Well, this is it. The first film relied on the fact that we didn't know anything about them or what they did. So the threat is unknown.
Yeah.
But obviously in this film, these people do know what's going on. They do know what will happen, and they know how to stop it. So they act intelligently. Something missing from cinema.
I do
a little
like
bit too much at the moment.
characters that act intelligently. The sound this little thing makes is also kind of the best. The way that the Mogwai is voiced, Daffy.
Yes.
It is manic, and I love it.
They go full cartoon on it. Again, this is what I was saying about the director, is that he's just totally, anything he can to shove cartoony stuff in, he does. But he does it really well.
He does. I think he understands cartoons very well. I think that's what it is. Because also, just as a sound guy, this sounds like a super fun day in the office. It really does sound like, okay, Fred, now we're gonna do the voices, okay? And just hours of going.
There's over 30 people in the sound department credited and uncredited for this film.
Wonderful. That is the right number.
Yes, like
the more the merrier.
And you can tell, like, the sound design is so beautifully put together.
That is, you know what? You had exactly my note, word for fucking word. So I am now put off, and I need to read my next note. Who's that at the door? Why, it's the Futtermans. You remember the Futtermans from before?
Yes.
You remember that xenophobic asshole from the first movie who thought anything non-American was terrible, and then turns out that he nearly got run over by his American-style plow?
Which, fortunately, doesn't kill him because built American.
I guess so. Well, he's back, and this time he dislikes the fact that there's Russian cab drivers driving around in cabs in New York because they're Russian, and, there could be nuclear secrets. And why?
It's funny, because he's still racist.
I don't know about racist, certainly xenophobic. I haven't heard him say anything about non-white people, but I have heard him say things about foreign this and foreign that, which sort of does imply racist undertones, but I think it's mildly different. Not defending it, just saying... Ugh.
No, it's very much a thing of its time where that was sort of considered to be an okay thing to say, and it's like, well, it isn't
was
really.
Was it? Because he also is being made fun of gently in this, like, oh, okay.
Yeah, he's definitely like a comic relief.
You know
character.
What this is? It's an okay boomer. It's an okay boomer. All right,
exactly.
Yes, fine. I don't feel like arguing right now.
Yeah, the actor for that is Dick Miller, who was funny enough. He was in the Terminator.
Was he?
Yeah, he was. He was like a stall owner.
Oh.
He was also in The Burbs and The Howling, which are made by the same director as Gremlins 2. So like he managed to get a career out of this guy.
So he's back with his wife, and they're at the apartment now, and he seems a little nervous when he hears the Mogwai making noises. And I do quite like Billy and Katie trying to complete each other's lies here for reasons why they can't stay at the apartment tonight.
It's a beautiful example of dialogue being well performed. Like, the mix-up is beautifully done.
See, the building is being fumigated,
Renovated.
Rats. Nice. But I like... when it's done correctly, a little bit of characters interrupting each other works so beautifully, because that is how people talk. Most of the time, you don't wait for someone's line to be finished before concocting and then delivering your own line.
Exactly, and it's effective because obviously they're flustered and that comes across, and it's such a short moment that conveys so much straight out the gate.
But it also conveys the strength of their relationship, as I say. It's like, oh, they know exactly how to work with each other.
Yeah, I mean, he's literally come home with lipstick on his face.
And she's still like,
and there's
fucking bitch. It's not, Billy does not know better. Like, I know that my husband does not know better. Fiance, exactly. I guess, whatever. Yep, so cut to the Crush building. Did I mean the Clamp building? I think I meant the Clamp building, but in my notes said the Crush building, so we're going to go with that.
Because it's at night now, it's not office buildings, it's a party zone.
I guess it is. They have some sort of dance party, but only in that one corner. And
they've got the ice cream bar in the other corner.
And the ice cream bar, yeah, we've gotten to the ice cream bar.
Yes, Sean Astin, one of his first appearances.
Sean Astin? It's Sean Astin. Sean Astin. You're right. He's got a ponytail. Hey, quick question. Are the peanut butter cups all natural?
Well, I don't know. Are they?
I don't think they can be. I don't think peanuts and chocolate ever coexisted in the wild. I mean, I haven't checked the peanut butter cup tree in a while, though, so maybe it is growing fruit.
You know what this means? To Google.
Google says no.
Google says no.
Seemingly unconcerned with how much death there might be in the soft serve, the Mogwai eat so much of it straight out of the tap that one of their stomachs just expands.
The guys who did the effects on this, we've said this, I think, on the last time that I was with you.
Guaranteed it's just a balloon that they're blowing up underneath it, and I don't hate it. It's wonderful.
It's organic, it's natural, and it's cartoony, and it makes sense. Like I've said this before when we did Evil Dead, but the use of practical effects can be used to such great effect.
Mm-hmm.
Like there is some CG in this. It's rotoscoping to get the models to move from a distance, but just the fact that it's a physical thing and you can rely on the actors to then move with this physical thing. Like there's something about that is just feels more real than CGI does.
It can do, yeah. I think we're getting better at CG and where to use it appropriately and that sort of thing. But yeah, for the most part, I agree with you. But it looks like there's rats in the ice cream toppings.
Wait, that's not rats.
That's Mogwai. Meanwhile, as Billy and Kate arrive, there's someone stuck in the revolving door because this time it's the opposite problem and we need to keep doing this insistent sight gag, and I don't hate it.
Just another little detail that you can spot in the background. Back when, instead of making it giant, open and empty, people put details inside their films.
I like details when they're inside of films. That's the appropriate container for details.
Exactly.
They question the all-natural lady who claims that she saw a furry thing and also that ice cream with peanut butter cups and chocolate is supposed to be health food. God, some things never change. So naturally, their plan is to cut off all the water to the building. By
Makes
shutting
perfect
off
sense.
The main...
Can't have them breathing.
I guess so. They're caught by the security cameras, and a security person runs down there with his finger directly on the trigger and brandishes it at Billy. Wow!
This guy's not messing around.
This is highly irresponsible.
Yes, and holding it with one hand.
At waist. Yeah, like you're not aiming that thing. Oh boy, people who handle weapons like this frighten me. They really, really do. That's
good reason.
But he demands to see what's in Billy's bag, and the Mogwai jumps up and bites his nose, at which point he starts discharging his weapon wildly into the air.
Yeah.
Okay. Every time there's firearm bullshit in movies, I call it out, because like this is not funny to me. This is completely fucking shocking. It's shocking TD, it's shocking lack of barrel control, it's shock of awareness of your weapon, it's shocking everything. This man should never have been allowed anywhere near a gun, and I dislike the portrayal of, no, it's just a security guy. No, don't do this. Like,
it undermines the threatening power of guns.
There was a rule in my house where unless it was a bright orange Nerf gun, we were not allowed to point toy guns at each other. And if we did, we got in trouble. Because if you get used to it with a fake gun, fuck. So like, even, it doesn't matter. This made me so uncomfortable. I hope that's what they were going for because it worked. And I was like, oh, this fucking guy, right?
Yeah, well, he's an idiot. Like this, he's a guy who's doing his job, but he's also mean-spirited. Like he's not a professional.
I think
which is why he then gets the bite on the nose, because he needs to be punished for his.
I guess so. I feel like that's a good summation of all of the bad business people in this that you've just made. It's he's just doing his job, but he doesn't have to be an asshole about it, and he is an asshole about it.
Yeah, but this again, 1990s New York on screen. Everyone was an asshole. Like that was how it was. That's how New York was perceived at the time. Everyone's rude, rushing around, bumping into people, being a dick.
I guess so. I don't know if New York's like that then.
It wasn't when I was there.
Because I've been there and everyone was nice to me, and I know people from New York and they're nice to me. So I don't know. Maybe I have a sample size of like 2 though. So what do I know?
I mean, like I say, when I was over there, it seemed like I didn't have that problem at all. Like,
but a problem really we do have in this building are gremlin sacks.
Yes, and then this is what I'm talking about, going from the light and fluffy into the sinister and darker. Like, you know immediately that things are about to go really bad, just because we have gone from cute and fluffy to reptilian and dripping and oozing.
Oh, once there's a sack involved, you can't go back from that. Cut to a police van where there's some mimes for some reason.
I never got this joke.
I guess mimes are funny in the 90s. I mean, I know they kept showing up in Animaniacs, and maybe that's what it is. It's a reference to cartoons.
I mean, why not?
Mimes are funny to animate. And there's jokes that you can make about the mime actually creating a wall, and that's hilarious. I get that.
I'm sure. I hope there's someone in the who's listening to this and is going like, "No, it's clearly this thing." So yeah, if you know, tell us.
Tweet at me, honestly, at me at One for Paul, and tell me why this is funny. I was just perplexed.
And it's been a mystery to me for years.
So the delay from Billy's arrest was just long enough that the gremlin cocoons are hatching. See, I like this detail a lot because they were like, well, he's going to get bailed out. That's fine. Like, they don't just arrest you and put you in prison right away. They put you in, like, a holding cell, and then you pay your bail and whatever. Right? Like, they'll hear you later.
Yeah.
Now, This delays them just long enough where they can't continue their thorough search and deal with the sacks before they do it. So I like this detail. Even nerd me is like, well, why couldn't they? Oh, that's why. Okay.
Yes, there's a reason for everything. It's not just arbitrary. They mess about. Like, there's stuff that gets in their way. There's stuff that delays them. It's an art of cinema that is sort of missing a little
art
bit.
Of writing, I would say, more widely, right?
Yeah,
meanwhile, in the vents, Gizmo is wandering about, not quite looking where he's going, and this goes very well for him.
Vertical drop.
Yep, to some like Star Wars style music with the horns, and this pipe lands him directly where the cocoons are hatching.
Uh-oh, trouble.
Here he says he said a thing. He said words here, and all I could hear on first, second, third, and fifth listen through was motherfucker.
I do wonder if it's there. I don't know that for a fact, but it does sound remarkably like it.
If it were in there as a fact, then it would never have made it in there. They probably said, no, he's just making mogwai noises, whatever, he's a little monster.
You know this film is a PG-13, right?
Yes, a rating that was created, as I discovered, for Gremlins 1. It didn't exist before, and they were like, this needs a bigger rating than PG. We need something between PG and R. Something, please. Back in the lobby, things are going a bit haywire, and Billy and Katie grab some flashlights. Also worth saying, Gizmo got grabbed by one of the Grems.
With the classic cartoon hand hovering over the top of him, doink on his head, grab him and yank away. And this is something I wanted to bring up about the sound design, actually. Because
it's such a yoink.
The next thing, you hear the yoink, but you also then hear the violence, and the camera shakes.
Oh, yeah.
It's implied violence. Like, they use just the sounds and the shaking of the camera to imply what's going on.
That is,
and it's so beautifully effective.
That is, they could have put a puff of smoke coming out of that, and it would have worked exactly the same way, and I love it. It is very cartoon, because of course in cartoons that was a good gag for a couple of reasons. First, because it's real funny, and also second, because they don't have to animate that part. So
yes, you don't have to show the violence, you still get the effect.
I like these things that are born out of laziness or budget-mindedness, going like, well, we can't afford to actually make this cool fight scene, so instead, let's just make a sound that sounds like it.
We'll put some stuff together and let your imaginations do the work.
But more importantly, Marla gets between Billy and Katie, literally this time, and no time to resolve that conflict, because Billy needs to convince the emergency medical hologram, Chief of Security, that they need to act before the devils take over the building.
Yeah, wasn't that Tuvok's job?
I'm reasonably certain Tuvok was on top of it. Let's go check on him. I'm sure this plan will go really well. You know, after you got arrested yesterday.
This is one of the beautiful.
Here.
I mean, he says that. He says, like, you come back. What, did you miss us?
And I think I remembered him in Voyager going like, oh yeah, he's kept that style.
It's yes.
He's
it's
still
just Robert Picardo all
smarmy.
Over. Years of practice. Apparently acting in New York.
I guess you learn smarm in New York. Well, come to New York, home of smarm.
But this is another little beautiful point that I actually really like, is the next thing that happens, I think, I'd be correct in saying, is that the people at the control panel, because obviously, you know, our lead is shouting all this mad, insane stuff.
I think I see where you're going. May I hold the thought? Because the next thing that actually happens is Katie takes a group on a tour.
Repeating the same shtick from the beginning.
Yeah,
you gotta love those hats.
They're such hats. Also, because I guess there's a Japanese guy who enjoys taking pictures, and that's a stereotype. Yeah. And like, look at these funny Japanese people who have all of these cameras because they come on a once-in-a-lifetime holiday and they want to take pictures with their cameras, and we find that funny for reasons.
Yeah, it was a way used to, as you know, to create a quick snapshot without going to the trouble of actually doing any character development. It's lazy and it's unacceptable these days.
I would go further and I would say it was unacceptable those days too. But
Actually,
yes, we're
yeah,
agreed.
you know what? I agree with you, yeah.
We're agreed in principle. Anyway, it's time for Microwaving with Marge, the show where Marge gets blind drunk and cooks super gross-looking food like bologna and bean dip rolls. This is such a good send-up of bad cooking shows.
They totally go into it, and you know, they go from her taking this, you know, bologna and forget what it was, bologna and something, but she pronounced bologna and bean dip. She mispronounced bologna, and sort of like half-heartedly like does the rap, and then immediately looks to the left of this pre-prepared "here's one I made earlier" plate, and it's just such a lovely sight gag.
So the way you spell bologna is Bologna, because the original stuff that Americans got was called Bologna sausage. And then they invented this other stuff that is absolutely not Bologna sausage from Bologna in Italy. And they couldn't pronounce Bologna, so they said, bologna, I guess. That's what we're going to call it, bologna.
Close enough.
There's like 6 letters I'm not going to pronounce because those are foreign letters. And I don't like foreign things. I find them confusing. I'm using the voice because I actually love foreign things everywhere. I prefer foreign things. Personally.
There is nothing wrong with having a lot of variety in your life.
I like variety. I enjoy variety.
And back to the plot.
Back to the plot. Fuck. This is going to be a long episode. So where are we at?
80 minutes in.
Oh, God, we're 80 minutes in. Should we split the episode here? We should split the episode. Where's a good place to split the episode? I think we're almost at a point where we can split the episode because Microwaving with Marge is such a good son. I just want to call out this actor who plays Marge. What the hell is her name? She's so good. Like, her performance is maybe 3 minutes long in total, but fuck, is she ever good?
Yeah.
It's one of the standouts in the film to me, even, I think. Is that weird? Because it's such the perfect evocation of what she's doing.
There's so many character actors who just ace everything and just add that little bit of polish and class to everything. Marge...
I don't think this is classy, personally. I think she adds the exact opposite of class.
But it's her performance is over the top and intentional, and
I love it. Yeah.
It's brilliant. Like, it's just another flavor. It's another touch. You've got, you know.
Also, 3 cameras on this single person behind a counter production. That seems like a lot of cameras.
Kathleen Freeman's her name. Microwave Marge.
That's it. She's very good.
She's amazing.
So, but yeah, 3 cameras on this production. I mean, production guy. I'm looking at the script supervisor. I'm looking at the auto cue. Great. I'm also looking at 3 cameras. Maximum 2 if you need one for the close-ups. Why are you doing 3 cameras on this? Am I wrong? It seems like a lot of cameras.
Maybe they just have an experimental camera, you know? You've got the, you know, safe wide, details, and then the crazy guy who does what he wants, and every so often something works, and they'll cut to it.
I guess that's right. I guess I haven't worked in TV except for modern TV, where it's mostly 1 camera for everything, and then you do a bunch of
can edit.
Yeah. Because I keep forgetting it's tape. Like, you had to use tape, and when you made a cut, you were literally like with a razor blade.
Yeah, physical media. Whole different era. These days, you just chuck it into a computer and you can do what you like with it. I mean, personally, I'm for it.
It's so much better now. It's so much better now. Back in the control room, where the security team are discussing how the 3 Mogwai rules interact.
Yes, and this is a beautiful like dissection of it.
Mm-hmm.
Because, like you say, he's walked in, he's saying all this crazy stuff, and then all of a sudden they're like, wait, those are really vague rules, and it's the film lampooning itself.
I feel very seen right now by this security team, because I had these same questions in the first one. Like, wait, so if they eat at like 11 p.m., but something gets stuck in their teeth.
Like a sesame seed.
Like a sesame seed or a caraway seed or something, and then later they end up swallowing that. They didn't eat after midnight, but they did swallow food after midnight. Does that count?
But then, of course, what if they travel across a time zone?
Yeah, if they're on an airplane and they cross a time zone, how does that work?
And here we get our jump scare. Now's where stuff goes down.
I am mostly upset at this gremlin who attacks the man because he prevents us from getting answers to these crucial questions.
And therein is a nice break for your first episode.
I think when the gremlins actually start attacking and the security team they don't need any more convincing after literally being attacked by this monster. They're like,
once you've seen it.
Oh, shit. Okay. So turns out actual demons.
Who'd have thunk he was actually telling the truth?
I'm okay with the security team being skeptical, if I'm perfectly honest.
Of course.
Really
you would. Of course you would be. Anyone would be. This is madness.
It's him
trying to get them.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's him trying to get them to understand that there's a serious problem. It needs to be dealt with, and he's being as earnest as possible. But of course, they're just looking at him going like, yeah, right, okay.
Demons.
Justifiable, like.
Gotcha. So when are the demons coming? Tuesday. Cool. Great.
And the men with white coats, they'll be coming in about 5 minutes.
What year did the Mayan calendar say was gonna... 8 years ago? Gotcha. Okay. So,
I lost track of how many apocalypses I've survived at this point.
God damn, so many. So I said this on one of the first One for Pauls when we did Shaun of the Dead. I liked in that movie that when people said, "Oh my god, it's a zombie apocalypse," it was only once they had actually seen the zombies eat people. Because otherwise, why would you look at like one news item and go, "Well, that's the zombie apocalypse. Honey, get the shotgun." That seems like You'd have to be some crazy person to do that. And you should be treated as a crazy person. I'm just repeating the same thing again. My bad. So let's take a break there. And let's remind our audience that you can find me. I don't know how to finish a part one. How do you finish a part one?
This is where you just complete cut, just here. Just like dry cut, done.
I will, right here. Thank you for joining us for this part one of this 2-part special episode of One for Paul. You can find me at One for Paul on Twitter. Maybe tell me how wrong I am about opinions about the movie, or tell me what you thought about the movie. And if you'd like to find me on Patreon, you can do that at patreon.com/oneforpaul. That's patreon.com/oneforpaul. And if you want to find my guest,
hello.
Where do we find you? Where do we find you?
If you want to learn more about the Stygian Chronicles, the horror anthology podcast, you can find us on Anchor FM, Spotify, iTunes, and more at the Stygian Chronicles. And you can find us on Twitter at Stygian Curator.
Looking forward to seeing you on part 2. That should be coming out just about a week after this episode. Bye, guys.
Nice out.
That was all right.